And today we have a special guest, Jeremy Gardner. He's the founder and chairman of Blockchain Education Network, also known as BIN, and a founder of Augur, the decentralized prediction market platform. He's a trailblazer, a young gentleman in the space, and he's thriving in the cryptocurrency space. So we're here to chat with him and see what he's been doing and learn a little bit more about his background. Thank you, Jeremy, for being with me today.
My pleasure.
Thank you. So my first question is for everyone who may be interested. How were you first introduced to crypto, and what was your first use case experience with the digital currency that got you into this rabbit hole?
Well, I guess I can answer the question in two ways. First, I heard about it because I read about the Silk Road in Rolling Stone magazine. There was this black market, Amazon.com, and I thought that was fascinating. And I went and checked it out, and then I learned you had to use this thing called Bitcoin. And I actually really didn't like Bitcoin. I thought it was confusing, and I kind of forgot about it for a couple of years after that because this whole idea of a weird internet money didn't make much sense to me. I didn't dive deep, as I imagine most people don't when they first come across it. And then it would only be a couple years later, after protesting at Occupy Wall Street, working in the world of government, and realizing how broken the financial and policy-making systems are, that something like Bitcoin made sense to me. And so when I was reintroduced to it in 2013, 2014, that's when I really dove down the rabbit hole. Friends were talking about it. The price had obviously gone from $5 when I first encountered it to, nearly $1,000 when I really became fascinated by the technology.
What inspired you to found Augur? How did you build your team for Augur, and what was it like having your first utility token?
With Augur, it was a byproduct of the Blockchain Education Network. It was originally called the College Cryptocurrency Network. It started with Bitcoin clubs at MIT, Stanford, and the University of Michigan, and quickly expanded all around the world. And one of the heads of one of the clubs, Joey Krug, he was an 18-year-old computer science major at Pomona College near LA. We decided to start a company together. It was a point-of-sale company. It was and there was some investor interest, and we were getting traction. And right before my senior year, in the summer of 2014, we decided to drop out of school to focus on the startup full time. And then we would end up teaming up with another startup that was working on a bunch of different things, and that would eventually become Augur. And it was almost farcical. The founding of Augur, all of the startup drama you could ever possibly imagine, hiring, firing, rage quitting, lawsuits. I mean, it was just madness. I mean, it doesn't seem like the sort of startup that should have ever survived, right. but it did, and we made it to launch. We never wanted to create a utility token, and there was no such thing as a utility token at the time. If you read the original Augur white paper, we were going to create it on top of Bitcoin, but the way that Bitcoin's designed is not good for decentralized applications. And so Vitalik was an advisor to our startup because Vitalik and I were the two youngest guys on the conference circuit, because I was speaking about Ben and he was speaking about Ethereum, and he had a fascination with prediction markets. So he was advising us when we were building on Bitcoin, and he suggested to us that we build on top of Ethereum. And that was kind of a crazy suggestion because Ethereum hadn't launched yet. In fact, it was over 9 months away from launching. So the suggestion that we would build on a blockchain that wasn't even launched yet, in retrospect, is probably not something I would do as an entrepreneur today. but my naivete or our collective naivete as a team led us to build on Ethereum, which turned out to be a fantastic choice.
Wow.
And then as we looked at the ways to create this decentralized betting platform with the decentralized consensus or Oracle solution, we realized that a token that helped people determine the outcome of events was necessary. And thus, we ended up creating the first utility token. And it felt like a necessary evil at the time. Little did I know it would become this crazy financing mechanism for all of these crappy ICOs years later.
That's awesome. That's pretty interesting. So you guys are running on mainnet right now?
Yeah.
Cool. That's an amazing journey. Being in the your Augur is a prediction platform. Are you pro trading bots for crypto? And if so, do you feel bots make traders more effective and successful? What resources could you share for traders that are interested in using them to scale trades and perfect executions?
I've used trading bots a couple of times throughout the course of my 6-7 years in crypto. I'm not against trading bots. I'm just very cautious about them because, you know, a bot can be very good for a short period of time or with a certain amount of money, but over time other bots can adapt to your trading bot, and furthermore, some bots don't adapt well to certain market conditions. So I'm very skeptical, but very recently I actually just put some money from my fund into a bot, and it's performing incredibly well. I mean, yielding extraordinary returns. So I'm bullish on bots right now, but I've had bad experiences in the past, and I'm overwhelmingly just very skeptical of crypto trading. It's really much more like roulette than the stock market. I don't really believe in technical analysis. And I think actually bots are probably one of the best ways to ensure gains as a crypto trader. But generally speaking, I'm not a trader. I'm an investor. Most cryptos I've held for years. I prefer to invest in startups, but sometimes crypto assets are the best ways to invest in an idea.
So since you do have some pro towards the bots, are there any resources you hear your peers speaking about that would help with building the best trading bot, or suggestions?
I have no clue. I mean, I've been pitched so many trading bots over the years, and most of them, these teams are looking to go and raise like $20-30 million for a trading bot. I'm like, look, the second you start using that much capital, your bot's not going to work. Other bots are going to learn how to game your bot. What I liked about the guys that I use right now is that they weren't trying to raise a bunch of money for what they're doing. They had turned down a bunch of funds that wanted to use their algorithm, and you know, the reason why I liked them was because they weren't looking to take on a bunch of money, and I hit it off with the team, and I said, hey, look, I know you guys aren't taking outside investors, but if you want to take a fee and let my fund play with us a bit, you know, we'll give you some capital. And the key is, it's like poker. You have to keep your cards close to your hand, because the second people notice a bot's trend, they can trade against your bot and they can make a ton of money, and it will cause you to lose money. So bots are something where you should either develop them yourself, or you should really work with a very experienced team that is not sharing their bot broadly, because the second a bot gets used broadly, then it becomes inefficient.
Wow, that's good information. Thank you for sharing that. So about the Crypto Castle, that's where we're here today. It's a beautiful castle here that you have. You've got a nice view with the water. I know you were originally in San Francisco. So how did this concept about Crypto Castle come about?
Well, before Augur was started, our team, we decided to move from LA up to San Francisco. We got a house. The house fell through as my team was driving up to LA. I was speaking in Brussels, I believe, at the time. But so we ended up getting this like dingy 2-bedroom basement apartment for 6 guys, and I jokingly called it the Bitcoin basement. It was in the outskirts of San Francisco, and then we raised a little bit of money a couple months later, and I found us this townhouse in San Francisco that had like sweeping views of the city, but by no means a castle.
Yeah.
But I jokingly called it the Crypto Castle just because I like alliteration, and we were upgrading from the Bitcoin basement. And that's how the name came about. I jokingly kind of added it to Google Maps, created a Facebook page, and then the brand sort of built. Vitalik was staying with us one day, and a journalist came, and she was trying to write about Vitalik and Ethereum. This was still before Ethereum had launched, I believe. and she ended up being so fascinated by the house and the culture that we had created of all these like crypto nerds living together, building startups, that she ended up writing the story about the crypto castle rather than about Vitalik or Ethereum, which in hindsight probably wasn't the best idea. But it led to a lot more press in the future, and so for years now that we've gotten a lot of coverage, particularly when like journalists assigned to write about crypto, but find it easier to talk about a house full of crypto enthusiasts rather than explaining the technology itself. I've never really understood the fascination, because at least the house in San Francisco was really just a house, but you know, we've had every major news outlet reach out to us at one point or another, and it's been a fascinating experience. I mean, I never really took it seriously, but when I was thinking about getting a second home, getting away from San Francisco, but ending up in Miami, I was going to get a condo at first, but I was like, what if I recreate the Crypto Castle brand here and really get much more of an actual castle? I found this place. I hit up a few of my crypto rich friends. I was like, you guys want to throw down on this? Like, it will be kind of a different vibe than what we have in San Francisco. San Francisco is like, it's super affordable. We turned 3 bedrooms into 7. You know, we have, it's a lot of up and coming, you know, entrepreneurs, developers, just like startup people, mostly in the crypto space, but it's much more of a hacker house, whereas this is much more of a high-end home, and I think, you know, the tendency here reflects that. You know, it tends to be very successful guys, fund managers, guys that were in very early in crypto, and then obviously I'll have guests from all walks of life that stay here, but generally the tenants here are much more established than the folks you'd have at the castle in SF.
Right, so the SF is more like a startup, like a hacker.
Yeah, and now obviously I'm building a company here. Startups come out of here, but it's not that Silicon Valley vibe. It's much more laid back and relaxing. It's a place for mostly guys to come and just like get away from whatever they're dealing with, which is nice.
That's awesome. So are your plans for the pilot Crypto Castle, your show?
Yeah, so we shot a pilot, we shot a few episodes, and you know, we've been looking for distribution and marketing. We've spoken to several agencies, large networks, streaming services, and those conversations are ongoing. They're slow, there's no rush. I mean, the nice thing about the Crypto Castle Chronicles is it's just my life. We shot 12 episodes in 2 weeks, just following me around. It's not hard to pick that back up again and shoot more. My life is always interesting, so it's just kind of a waiting game, because I realized very quickly when we launched it that like I'm competing against people that pour their lives into their YouTube channels.
Bring a unique light into the space. You're an influential leader. How did you get into the venture space and awesome ventures? What are your some social impact ventures you're invested into within the space that you're excited about and think will impact the masses?
Sure. So coming out of the Augur ICO, there were years of development left, and there wasn't too much to do on the business side of things. And so I got recruited to a couple different venture firms in San Francisco doing blockchain investing, and I ended up joining Blockchain Capital as an entrepreneur in residence, brought them several deals. They ended up giving me carry on the fund, and so I ended up being an investor with them, and then that was 2015, and around that time I had made a little bit of money, just like getting paid back after the Augur ICO, back pay. I put all my wealth into crypto. I put any penny I had ever saved in my life into crypto. And then obviously in 2017, crypto blew up, and all of a sudden I had a tremendous amount of capital and I wasn't deploying it, and so I thought I should take the money I had made and launch a fund. I brought on several limited partners, but it was mostly my money, and I really wanted to use that fund to realize the goals I had always had for blockchain technology and crypto assets, which was to be a tool for positive social impact. And I scoured the ecosystem for impactful companies and crypto assets, so things like Filecoin, I think distributed storage is like incredibly impactful, but it's not a startup per se. So we're like a hybrid venture hedge fund. And then we have another portfolio company called Proof of Impact, and that's actually an impact marketplace where they will tokenize impact projects, allow people to make investments in those tokens. So let's say for a solar array in Sierra Leone, if that starts generating revenue, you can sell those tokens for a profit. So you're incentivizing impact investing, and I think these sorts of use cases for blockchain technology, where they demonstrably fix a problem in the world, are the problems that blockchain tech is most well suited for, and it's what excites me most about this space.
I want to learn more about what led to the development of BIN, and does BIN welcome partnerships with other on-campus hubs focused on crypto and blockchain? And how has BIN reaching out to the community and collegiates to accelerate mainstream adoption and overall?
Sure. So BIN, as I said earlier, started when I joined the University of Michigan Bitcoin Club. Found out there were Bitcoin clubs at MIT and Stanford. Got on a call with them that same night. I was like, let's join forces. A month later, I incorporated a nonprofit, and then we started just reaching out to every Bitcoin-related, fintech-related student group across the country. And very soon, we had, I think in less than 3 months, we had over 100 schools in 20 plus countries on every habitable continent. And that's been growing ever since. I mean, anyone can start a Bitcoin club. We just provide them with the resources to do it. So I'd encourage any student that is thinking about starting such an organization on their campus to reach out to them, because we provide them with the resources that they need to get started.
Nice. All right. And do you guys do anything for recruiting or helping these students establish relationships with companies in the space?
Oh yeah, I mean, we definitely bring on corporate partners, sponsors, if you will, and we connect them with our students. We've funneled hundreds, if not thousands, of young people into internships and jobs, contracting work with startups across this space.
Nice. Okay. And what are new innovations that you have seen or invested into this year that are helping with the impact of blockchain on a large scale towards more mainstream adoption?
So, well, in the past year, because we only have a few days in this year, I think Proof of Impact is definitely the most compelling startup that I've seen recently, just because they allow for such a global impact marketplace with what they're building. We also have a company called Paybook, which is somewhat like Plaid for Latin America. They connect banks, crypto wallets, exchanges, and allow for financial transparency for nonprofits, for religious organizations, for political campaigns. Anyone who that wants to create financial transparency into how their organization works, they can use Paybook. It harnesses blockchain technology. It's looking to go after the Latin American market, which is, I think, one of the ripest for blockchain technology and crypto asset adoption. So it's really exciting.
Nice. I'm going to look into those. Thank you for sharing. So how do you see the future for the masses of unbanked people being able to have access to their own banking through crypto? Do you feel this will scale economies across the globe? You seem like you're really long-term about this.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know, you know, it's hard to call it banking because it's not a bank. You know, you're not depositing your money with anyone. You are your own bank in theory. I mean, there are these custodial exchanges and wallets, but generally speaking, what crypto allows you to do is leapfrog banks. And what you need is price stability, and you need security. I truly do not believe we will bank the unbanked unless we create price stable crypto assets, whether it's something like Tether or Libra or one of these countless other stablecoin projects. But people need price stability because a fluctuation of 5 to 10% in a day is untenable for someone that only has a few $100s to their name.
Right.
So that's a really important problem. But then the UI UX experience of securing a crypto wallet and securing your crypto and being able to access it and recover it, those problems really need to be solved. Like public or private key cryptography is not accessible to the masses. So we need to make this technology much more easy to use before we really help bank the unbanked.
Great. So who are a few leaders in the space you look up to as mentors? Do you have any books you can suggest for those that want to enlighten themselves on the space and learn more about this technology?
Oh, those are good questions. One guy that I've always really admired and respected, even though philosophically I couldn't disagree with more often, is Eric Voorhees, the founder and CEO of Shapeshift. He's brilliant, fantastic guy that I've always admired. He's an incredible entrepreneur, way too hardcore libertarian for my taste, philosophically speaking, but just like a very commendable individual that I really look up to. Another one is, he's not there anymore, but is Patrick Byrne, the founder of Overstock. He's just, once again, very thoughtful, passionate about this technology, had some weird deep state problems recently and left Overstock, but once again, a guy I really admire, very principled individual, and I like those guys that stand by their principles. In terms of books for the space, I mean, I'd say definitely go to like goodbit101.com. It's a portfolio company, and it's a really great accessible guide to crypto assets and blockchain technology. As for books, I mean, I think Nathaniel Popper's Digital Gold is a great kind of way to understand the early days of crypto.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about Bitcoin billionaires, but if you want to learn about crypto, you're better off going online rather than reading a book. But Andreas Antonopoulos has like the Internet of Money and Bitcoin and Ethereum 101. And I think those are all good, especially if you're trying to learn how to code.
Yeah.
But I'd say the online resources are immense. So that's probably a better place to go because this technology changes so constantly.
All right, those are some great resources, and really appreciate your time today, Jeremy.
My pleasure.
And having us as a guest. Thank you. Do you have any other words you want to?
No, I think that's great. I've got to promote a lot of my different projects.
Yeah, awesome. Well, it was a